Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Turn Wright Machine Works. My name is Keith, and I'm your host. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's go inside. Hello. Hey, so you're looking for a shop tour today, huh? Come on in. Okay, I played around with a couple different ways of giving you a shop tour, and I decided to go ahead and stand behind the camera and take you for a tour. This is just basically going to cover my machine layouts and a few tidbits here and there. Ongoing in and out material bench and project bench. That's kind of what I got up here in the front. This is totally against the roll-up door here, and everything in this area is movable. We'll go on over here to what I have here, and a couple parts for the Buffy. There's a riser that I picked up. We're going to put that in there. Everything in that box is for Buffy. This is just miscellaneous tools from me doing odds and end projects, and in the bag there is my new car cover for the Porsche. We have a pretty good issue with debris drifting in the air and settling on the Porsche here, just because it's character to the work of the landlord. I have my Inco saw here, and it's on the rollers, and of course I took that stand and I made it exactly the same height, and I got the freedom to roll that anywhere and be able to cut my material. It's real handy. Alright, we're just gonna glance through the shop here so you can kind of get the gist of the layout, and we're gonna start over at the Rutland lathe. Now you see a board up here, and I've ran it for a couple days, and I ended up having to sweep the floor on over in this area right here. And I'm going to be building a backboard for the Rutland, and probably one for the closing as well. I found that trash can really sits right underneath the lip of that ledge there, so I might even incorporate that into the back shield, because it's so handy to just push the chips right into the back there. It's kind of nice. I'll let you know how I work out on that. I have put up a light here, because even as bright as the lights are in this shop, individual location or lights right on your project, helping you rid of shadows and stuff like that, really is important. Rutland, you can see I didn't do any cleanup for this tour, and the reason why I have chips is because I do projects. The same collet holding rack cupboard is right here. I brought over this case that I've had. It has a lot of old photos and stuff, and some of them have been taken out, and I was going to put them up on my web page and stuff like that. And anyway, they're still in the missing right now. And I plan on taking this cabinet and putting in some of my more recent adventures and in my YouTube and community memorabilia from all of these guys right here. All right, I don't know what I'm going to do with my stone. Haven't decided. I just happen to have it sitting there. This bench used to be the bench with all my toolboxes on it, and I have those toolboxes sitting out of a safe place so that I don't damage them. I may put wood on the top of this. I may not. I did narrow the bench so that it fit in here. And I also increased the height so that it would match up comfortable with that countertop over there. The blue vise that used to mount on it, I was going to put it up here, but then I put a piece in there and set up the hacksaw, and I was coming interference with this. So we're gonna take and build our own post to hold that vise, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it much more, because that vise also started to collect a bunch of stuff onto that bench, and including files and shavings and stuff like that, and mixing with other stuff. And we're kind of enjoying our walk around path that we have created with our layout. Our old shop where these big machines were in was 18 foot by 18 foot. That was the size of the room. This room is 24 wide and 29 deep. I also have a few things that weren't in that other room. One, the Rutland lathe, this saw, the X-Carve, that bench over there, that surface grinder. Well, there is, and another mill. All right, because now Buffy is there and Debbie's behind her. Neither one of them are hooked up electrically right now, but I already have a need for Debbie. Actually, I've had several needs for Debbie, and I've ended up doing it in the K&T. And so I might actually put a drop cord and get it set up. All right. My really nice cabinets here that I had over in the other shop against the back wall there. Long time ago when I first got this cupboard, Jeff McKee, a friend of mine in California, gave this to me. It came out of a medical office of some sort. And the first thing I did was make the mounts for my micrometers to set in there, and then I just go ahead and put my other precision things that I don't fit into a rollaway, and I hate opening up a rollaway, then opening up the box. So then you got the rollaway open, you got the box sitting on a surface where you have no room, and then you use your tool, and then it takes up a lot of effort. Where I can reach in this cupboard, grab the tool, and put the box back into the cupboard while I'm using the tool if I want to. And I like to run rags or on a wooden surface to keep tools protected. And so we don't have everything exactly set in here 100% where it's going to actually stay. We have scales here, and I have my set of trammels here, but I like to go ahead and probably set up a rack to where my scales that fit within the 24 inches will fit on that there. Alright, now in this cupboard here I have some of my other tooling, stamps, and then I got just my typical V blocks and 1, 2, 3 blocks and things like that. And then I go ahead and I put my inserts here. My other small inserts for the Rutland are all within the cupboard over there. Whoops. The cupboard over there. All right, let's talk a little bit about my power. And in the comments on some of my videos already were comments about the phase converter. And right now I am hot wired, and I am running a phase converter, and I have to thank Rick Jackson down in Pennsylvania. He contacted me and said he had this phase converter down in the basement and it wasn't doing anything, and he'd like to see me up and running, and he knows I'm having a problem with Eversource and their requirements and their bureaucratics, whatever you want to, they're putting the catch in the program here. So anyhow, Rick offered me this phase converter, and it's plenty big enough, and it runs everything that I need to run in my shop. It does create a little bit of noise, and basically I have my single phase power coming in, and I have jumped it 2 ways and I have 2 panels here, and on this side here I have my 3-phase, and on this side here I have my single phase, and we're still in the works. And the reason why we have these jumbled around right here is because I actually have one of the 3 legs in this jumped over from the other panel, so you don't have true 240 in every location. So we have several skip outs right here so that we can run our breakers to where they work for us in the positions they're at now. Alright, and then this is just a trough and a couple items we have coming in, but we are protected by chips that may be thrown off into this area. So until the actual work order to bring in 3-phase from the pole was shut down because there's multiple services coming into the building and they want one shut off. So what has to be done now is a meter bank has to be installed on the outside, and of course that means we're going through the whole waiting period all over again, plus expenses for the landlord and things like that. Alright, so that kind of covers, at least you knowing that I can run my machines, and when I'm running my 3-phase equipment you're going to hear the phase converter in the background. There's no way around that, unless you want me to stop doing videos and wait until I have my true power coming in and you don't have to listen to that. I walk the talk and I speak as I'm working, so I'm not going to narrate over videos and correct all of that. I can't do that. It's just not in my skill level there. Alright, one of the things I've done is put the tracer attachment up on rollers and wheels, and its leads and cords are going to be more comfortable because now I can run or wheel this anywhere along the back of the lathe. Before I was kind of forced to tuck it up here close underneath this motor area here, and it kind of limited me on the comfort behind here. I am wide open in here now, and it is real handy. Moving the lathe over, we did have an episode over at the driveway once we got it out of the building, and we laid it on its back very gently, and it did bend my linkage in here, but it didn't destroy the switch. I had to completely straighten up everything here that you see that is freshly painted, and then I added in a few areas there because I'm in there, and eventually I'll work my way around and we'll get the lathe coated with a new coat of paint. I think it'll look pretty nice, pretty sweet. We still haven't leveled out the feet yet, and I plan on doing that at sometime in the near future. For right now, I've got my tooling back here, my tracer attachment mandrels right there. I'm going to proceed over here. This is basically a closet sized room, and I framed in an old door I had, and this has got furnace, so we're not burning a wood stove in this area right here. This is a rack. It's got kind of my shafting, nuts, hardware, things like that. I've got a nice refrigerator, a cabinet, and a few things that I need to just put away. And there's another one of my toolboxes I just got to set out of the way. This is looking back towards the Rutland. Now the gantry fits in here real nice, and it actually will go over the 2 mills simultaneously. It will come all the way back behind the lathe this way, and I've had it all the way over to the drill press over there. So the gantry is capable of rolling anywhere in the shop. Alright, this is the surface grinder, and I found a nice place to hang my American flag, and we got Fiona over there accenting the other wall. I've got the power yet to hook up to this, and I just picked up another breaker. I've been on hold for breakers. The manufacturer of the breakers had to catch up with the virus and everything else that's going on. My tooling cart for the mills used to sit solid on the ground over there behind the Bridgeport, and now I got it up on wheels and I can roll this around. And I went ahead and replaced the plywood and kind of gave it a little cleanup. These two cabinets here were in the walling area, and we moved those in here, and they're still vacant. We have a lot of things that we haven't put away. We kind of just find in locations and things like that. Our large fan cleaned up really, really nice, and it does get the air moving in here. I'm really happy with that. Arbor press is just kind of setting in here. This is not a fixed location, but it's fitting there right now. And I'm using the back wall not only as a drop or backdrop for my artwork, and in here it'll stay much cleaner than in the fabrication room where we get a lot more dust and things like that. But I'm running these shelves out here, and I want items on the shelf that I can reach over and grab. And here's a new concept, and I'm going to be incorporating this with my toolboxes as well. Instead of having them on a rollaway and a flat surface, and mounting them shelf-wise, so you pull out a drawer, and you get your drill, and when you come back, you put it away. But look at here, it's already part of the habit right here. I just needed my veneers to actually, or my vernier calipers, I should say, and you can call me out on that. Measure up the size and put the drills away. And then I have my tap collection in here, miscellaneous taps. Some of my bigger taps I just got out of the box. Haven't really quite set up all of them yet, but I thought this is a pretty good area there to do that. This tooling and whatnot, this all behind here, and the readout rails for the Debbie, and these are all items that need to be put away, found a home. I was digging through some cutters. I needed cutters for a job. These all need to be mounted up on the wall, and they're probably going to mount pin style like I had on the other wall, but under the shelf height there. You don't need them often, and they're there. You can just look straight forward and see them. They don't need to be clogging up a shelf or a cubby or anything else like that. This is, bronze chips. I was getting it done. I was working on those bronze tiller heads, and that's a sample, an old aluminum one. And of course, I was doing the boring over here in the closet. Alright, we got the forge on here now, and it is kind of handy to be able to change those back and forth whenever I want, with the overhead gantry now being able to fit in here nice and easy and swing over with no problem. Alright, let's just kind of take a look at Debbie here and Buffy. I got the head off of Buffy the other day, and the ram was stuck. The rust from being out in the it was kind of in a moisture zone before I got it, but the ways and stuff like that were good coated and things like that. The dovetail of the ram and stuff was really kind of rusted up, and it actually wasn't movable anymore by the handle, so I had to pull everything apart, and I hung it by the gantry, and I soaked it up with some Zep, and within a day or two she actually started sliding after a few taps. So I got the base of it over there underneath that section there. I pulled the cupboard out, and then inside here was filled halfway up with insulation and all kinds of mouse houses, things like that. I'm going to be making up a pattern for that plate that actually goes into the cubby here. I'm going to be making them out of aluminum, and I might have that made up so that people can purchase those and just be able to drop them in and have a new shelf in your your Bridgeport head there, or column. My old TIG table, I mounted a small vise on it. Comes in kind of handy right here, and it's kind of a little bench that I can have behind me while I'm running the lathe or when I'm working on the mills here. Like I said, I'll probably put the readouts back on Debbie here for a short period of time and have it at least functionable, and take the power cord and run it over to the power box for a temporary hookup. My tool grinder setup here, it's just a nice comfortable area to put it in now, and I have walk around on both sides. Of course, I do have my shop vacs here as well, but I can reach over and I can get anything out of my drill rack or drill collection over there. And some of my backups, just haven't put them away yet. And I have an old box that's down there. It's got miscellaneous old stuff in it, and I haven't put that away yet either. The sibling fits in here really, really nice. And actually, you can see the little spot up there by the light. I actually run out of travel, about 7 inches of it in here. So I'm going to make a cup and a flange, and I'll be able to insert that cup into the ceiling like I did this section right here. That receptacle for the garage door opener has to be visible to the room, fully accessible by code. So that box I made so that it fit in there, and then I just need some shrink wrap tape, and we'll take care of the 2 cuts there that we had to open up and investigate where our wiring was at, because the insulation was put in before we started laying in the electrical. Sibling drill press went together really nice. I do have possibly an issue with the counterbalance chain is not quite on the second roller inside, and I'm pretty sure that I can go ahead and lock the counterweight down, create some slack, and reach in with a wire and straighten it up. I just haven't had the time to investigate it yet. It is functioning and it does operate. It's just a little bit slow on the return right now. It used to really swing back real fast. I put up the tool clamp setup just like over at the other shop. In fact, I kind of duplicated the whole layout. What works, don't change it. I did change the shelf at the bottom though, and made it a little wider, and we're kind of just playing around with that. Of course, my bathroom does have hot water heater, and I also have an exterior hose right here, and I made a rack, and this is long enough to run right out the door and wash my vehicles and stuff like that. All right, bathroom, first time I've had one in the shop. Used to have to go in the house or go behind the shop. We put a few things up there. There's a shirt I got caught in the grinder. Yeah, I didn't button it up. Didn't catch my sleeve or anything else. It caught around my waist. All right, hydraulic press. Hydraulic press is in this position here because this is a door that can open all the way, and if need be I can run a shaft that way. The rollaway I put in front of this side here because one, it's in a good location compared to anywhere else in the shop, but if I need to I can move it to the side so I can run something lengthwise out that direction from the hydraulic press. But most things are just done just as it is within the columns of the press. And down below I keep my parallels and those kind of things. And my pipe bender is sitting back here, and of course that mounts on this pin here or this attachment here that fits off to the side. I had that shown in a few of my old videos. The rollaway I actually started, well, you can tell, I think this drawer here in this drawer here. Now I bought this rollaway back in '83. It was brand new. It's Craftsman, and then the side boxes were off my dad's Super Duty. We put 4-foot boxes on, and we took these 2 boxes off. And anyway, I always kept rigging equipment in one and welding equipment in the other, and those kind of open and changing around for right now. All right, the rest of this area right here is, of course, my X-Carve, and then incorporating it into /office, because I got my computer capabilities here at this machine and comfortable, and we're gonna kind of organize this so it is a little bit more accessible back here, my printer, and we'll still be able to walk back here and get to the controllers of the X-Carve. I'm interested in continuing my education, my self-education, with this project that I've been working on, mostly help from John, Indiana. And the little incident where the sibling drill press laid over and bent this arm, broke that roller, and then crinkled this rail right here. I've replaced all of that. The total cost of repairing the X-Carve after the drill press laid on it was about $48. But it's completely up and ready to rock and roll. I did away with my regular desk. I threw away a desk, because a desk you don't make any money at a desk. Not that I'm sitting here making money all the time. Sometimes I'm actually thinking about my fishing buddies. When we went to the canyon and we doubled up on that pair of 150-pound big eye tuna. Been a couple years since I've been out to the canyons, and that was pretty enjoyable. All right, back to our tour. Buffy, I'm putting a push on Buffy. Actually, I've been kind of holding off on hooking up Debbie just because I wanted to have that push behind me. But I can see that even if it comes to a detail piece that I need to machine or prep out for Buffy, having a Bridgeport as a glorified drill press is just too handy. I do have the sibling drill press and I can do a lot in it, but it takes you a lot longer to get close to the tolerance that you can hold with a Bridgeport and a readout. That's just a fact. Okay, we're kind of done sweeping around the shop here, and you can tell that 24 by 29 is a lot bigger than 18 by 18. Okay, let's go on through to our fabrication room. And one of the greatest things is a nice big sliding door at the entrance. I started putting up some of my cabinets. These were in the middle room there where the X-Carve was, and these cabinets actually originally came from the kitchen that was in the house there at 791. I put my sandblaster over in this corner because it's the farthest away from any of my machines in this room and or the other room. And I'll keep it sealed up and gasket tight and all of that, because that grit is less pleasant when it's out of that cabinet. And I've been working on the sheet metal around the room, and that's for my own satisfaction. It's just a good feeling knowing that you have that little metal backing for grinding sparks, welding, and so on. The Wilton is the only three-phase item over here, and it took a little bit of finagling in with our wiring, but we went ahead and we brought in actually everything in this room and everything in the other room is 100% all new electrical. I brought over the sign from the the street over at 791. I pulled a frame and I yanked it out of there. I wanted it for memorabilia, and I knew that it was going to go up here on this wall from the first time that I came into this room, and I said there's a good spot for it right there. Alright, then I brought over the Suzy Q drive-in clock. We did away with the wood stove in the corner altogether, and we didn't bring ours over. We're going to be bringing gas in from the street, and we're going to run a gas furnace in here that will accent when we need it to be warmer in here. And we're going to continue working the insulation around the room. This wall is kind of nuts right now. I just had a lot of the review items that have been given to me by Lennox, by DeWalt, and the gang over there, and I kind of just put a pegboard up so I can mount it in here, and I'll continue using them on projects as need be. And we have a few things that we're actually going to be doing in the next video that's going to be coming up, and we'll put them to practice. And my grinder rack. Everybody kind of want to know details of my grinder rack, and it's not in the back corner anymore. So I can basically show you that it's just basically a flange that comes out, and it's just two vertical rails. One hooks the handle, and one lets the grinder itself lean against it. Basically the same thing as putting two studs on the wall like that. This large DeWalt has a little different configuration, and this shroud is too big to let it sit on my typical rack there, unless I put it right on the very end of the rack. But then it has a tendency to fall off once in a while. Alright, this is my welding station, and I've cleaned up both my Millermatic 250 and my Synchrowave 250. I bought these machines brand spanking new in 1995 and 96. Originally the Synchrowave was out in the middle of a room, and I built the rod rack and mounted it on that side of the machine. And I was doing some conveyor work, so I had these rubber coated shafts, and I said, what an ideal situation to make for lead hangers. And I made the rack and bolted it right into the regular bolting for the shroud or casing of the Synchrowave 250. And I made a shelf down below, and it took me about 4 years before I actually got a Coolmate 4. I originally took a 5-gallon pail, the biggest little giant pump, pumped it through a heater core and a Scout 2. I took a heater core out of a Scout 2, put it in a wood box, put a fan in it, and then hooked that fan up to the electrical so that when the machine came on, the pump and the fan came on at the same time. And I ran my TIG torch through a heater core and a bucket of coolant for 4 years. No issues. Alright, mounted the bottles up, and I finally went ahead and took and mounted my Y right on the wall so that it's easy reach, and I can adjust and add in the helium to the argon when I'm doing aluminum welding when I want to. And then I got 2 bottles on the back of my wire feeder so that I can run either aluminum or steel. And I used to have a bottle of Trimex, and I was doing some stainless MIG welding, but very little, so I did away with that bottle. The little shaper, I didn't have the heart to get rid of it, but I didn't have enough interest to give it its own area for operation, so it's just kind of like sitting here, and I haven't decided yet. May be interested in somebody that wants it and gives me a good enough offer. I might be willing to part with it. All right, right here in the middle of the room, let me stand back a little bit, is a nice vehicle lift. I've already had the truck on it. I had to put a new muffler in my truck a couple weeks back, and it was a good test item because I wondered how close I was going to be to the plasma cam with the front of the vehicle. And because this lift is actually angled somewhat back this direction right here, it is offset in the right direction, and I was able to get the bumper of the truck was just about where the edge of that table is. So I still had walk around room in front of the truck while it was on the lift. It was pretty good. All right, the machine that's in the front there is my own invention, and later on down the road I might be doing a video on that. It's also an item that's up for sale. Project we got going on right now is going to be in the next video, and we are putting the test to the new Linux metal blades. All right, we just cut out the 159B for our building, and we've been playing around with a few other things, but the plasma cam is working phenomenal. In fact, I actually think it's performing a little better than I had over at the other place, and I don't know why, but it is. The draft is working really nice. That's our air compressor up there. They mounted it up on top of the entrance cubby there from the outside, and it does have a little bit of vibration on there, and I decided to pick up a couple of these rubber mounts, and I just haven't had time to get up there and mount those up there yet. I do have to say that air compressor puts out more faster, recovers faster, and everything else than my old horizontal does. So, you know, it is another one of those items. And when background noise comes on like that, the microphone for my video and does magnify the sound sometimes. All right, I have my rod oven out here because we were running that spline job, and my wall positioner. And these are items that are going to be in this area here. We still have a lot of storage items that we brought in, and we just haven't placed them yet. That bench and that's not going to look like that, but it looks like that now. And how I'm going to hang my clamps, I used to hang them in the overhead on the other side, and I really liked it being in the overhead. So we got to come up with a good clamp hanging rack. Materials, I got my stainless steel over there. I've got my aluminum right there. I've got my steel right there. Real thick stuff I got back behind. So my plasma cutter is still basically in the same spot, and my monitor is pretty close in the same spot, but in here I'm actually able to walk around, and I want to walk around rooms so that I can get to the table all the way around. And of course, some of this stuff is just because we're putting the electrical in, and this is my storage for everything that has to do with working the electrical and a few other things here in the shop. And I have a couple extra ladders that are in here, and there's some material for the electrical as well. I'll be closing off where the wood stove come down there. We left it kind of open because I was wondering about incorporating it, but there's just not going to happen. The exhaust fan up there working really nice, and I turn that on to take and get rid of some of the heat and some of the fumes or smoke as well. And the two vents there for the plasma cam are working great. This pump on this side here, the motor gave out, and I have a new motor sitting over there in the window, and I'm going to take and I'm going to change that out so I have better draw on the draft on the table. The better the draft on the table, the cleaner the air stays in here and more comfortable it is to work. Okay, let's head outside and on over to our container. We bought the 40-foot 9.6 one trip sea container, and this basically takes over my storage that I used to have in that shelter that was behind the shop, plus a lot of cubbies and a lot of things that I had in the room with the X-Carve, and also my material rack, which now sits back here. I've gone through and I've thrown away, given away a few things during this trip or this event. And I have a little bit more to go through and make a second cut. There's our oven for doing the browning, but I have a lot of useful things in here. This door, this is an armored door, complete with the hardware and handle, and it's going to be put into the wall so that I can access halfway in the middle of this container. This become more organized, and I'll be getting rid of a lot of things in here that I don't actually need. And I'll be building a set of ramps to come up on this side right here, and I'm going to store my Porsche in here during the winter time. So it's going to be a dual purpose situation. But it gave me the freedom to go ahead and put things that I was undecided about keeping and or making sure the stuff that I do want to keep is protected from the elements and safe. I get asked on a few of the videos there, where did my welding table go? Well, my welding table came out here. Now the landlord's going to pour a slab here, the length of this building, and I'm going to take and mount up my table out here, and this is going to be my new shaft straightening table and or outside project table, and I'll have it leveled off, and I pulled the plug out of it so that it drains automatically if it doesn't get clogged. And I'll put a coat of paint on the top of it. It doesn't have to be bare metal. And there's my containers for my air suction draft, and I'll finish plumbing up both of these. This is the one that I actually need to repair or replace this electric motor in here because it's surging. So that should change out with that other motor I have in there. I was trying to overextend it there. Okay, there we go. And then this one here has got an 8-inch exit or a 6-inch exit instead of a 4. So we're going to have to plumb that in a little different. A lot more pull in and pull out comfort here. And we're already talking about the macadam being replaced and fixed up here soon. We're not in any major hurry for it. It's not keeping business from happening. So there you have it. It's kind of the tour of Turn Wright as of today. We're still working on getting it done. Well, I can tell that I'm more comfortable taking and running through a job with you because I don't know what's coming next. And kind of when I give a tour, it's kind of fixed and I know where I'm going, and I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling on. Anyhow, I think I enjoy project videos more than I do just tour videos. But I do want to satisfy everybody's curiosity of the shop and the orientation of everything and how it works out, and giving you a walk around kind of will let you see in and out of areas, and unknowingly I'm probably even showing you an area that you might have had in question. So I think I pretty much went up and down every little aisle that's in here, and it's actually kind of neat to actually have a lathe that has three aisles across versus my one aisle I used to have in the old shop. And who knew? A little over a year ago, I started this quest that I didn't know what actually was going to happen, and it's you guys that have helped make this possible for me, and I thank you very much. All right, let's get on to project videos. Until the next one, get her done.